Now live and on lockdown.
Are you ready?
Broadcasting from Edinburgh, Scotland and across the globe.
Listen here.
You're listening to Ramsay Unleashed, Going Beyond Borders podcast on Hearts on Live Radio with your host, Fraser Ramsay.
Hi, this is Afia Letha from KingdomBeats.com. Proud to be a sponsor of Ramsay Unleashed, Going Beyond Borders on heartsonglive.co.uk.
Happy New Year to everybody. It's Ramsay Unleashed, Going Beyond Borders. It's your host, Fraser Ramsay, 2019, ready to kick off, and welcome. Good day, good evening, good morning, wherever you are in the world. Happy Saturday. We're first show of the year, and we've got a great guest. And as I say, if you've enjoyed your festivities, you enjoyed your Christmas, and you're maybe been eating all the good, more chocolate than you can handle, and you're looking at your stomach and your waist, and you're thinking, I need to shift a few pounds. And you're thinking, it's time to get to the gym, and not just for the gym for January, like everyone else does, is to stick to the gym and stick to your healthy eating plan as you plan to go forward. So you can get into that beach wear when you go on holiday for your next trip away, whatever that may be. As I say, welcome, happy 2019, happy New Year to everybody, wherever you are. And yes, we are about to interview my guest, which is Dr. William Flipclay from Washington, D.C. And while the, just to not to be in the politics, while the government is being a bit constipated at the moment, his book is The Diary of a Emotionally Constipated Man. And they're shutting everything down. So unfortunately, that's the fun part of politics. But we're not about politics. We're about emotionally constipated men. So yes, it's not what you think it is. It's not quite the obvious, but he does have a gimmick of a toilet. But we'll hear more from him. We have a couple of new tunes. We have a guy called Sean Muir, and we have another of our trustiest artists, Benita Charles. She's getting popular. She's from New York. We have a song from her. So it's good. We have a couple of tunes to break up the show. So, as I say, let's not waste any more time. Let's welcome Dr. William Flipclay. How's it going?
Hey, Ramsay, what's going on, buddy?
All good, all good. So, how's your day been? Tell us how's your sort of day? Are you preparing to get back to the full swing of work?
Yeah, today's been a good day. Last week was pretty good. Happy New Year to you and to the family, to the listening family. I have no complaints. I mean, every day I wake up, if I'm living and I'm breathing, I feel like I'm on top of the world. If I'm breathing, I'm achieving. As Snoop Dogg.
That's always a bonus. That is good. So let's dive in. Tell us, Dr. William Flipclay, where are you from? Tell us your growing up time. Just tell us a bit about you, your background, and then we'll just go with the flow. Enjoy. Tell us what's going on.
So, I grew up 30 minutes south of Richmond, Virginia, in a little small town called Hopewell, Virginia. Completed high school. After graduated from high school, worked for a couple of years, and I realized there was more to life than just working a job. Mm-hmm. So I decided to leave home and go all the way to West Virginia. So I left Virginia, and I went all the way to Charleston, West Virginia, and attended Charleston Job Corps. Mm-hmm. And I stayed in Job Corps for 3 years, ended up going to college in West Virginia. Returning back home, I ended up going to West Virginia State University and Institute, West Virginia. Graduated from there, transferred to Virginia State University, did my undergraduate degree and my grad degree, and then I completed my doctoral degree from Argosy University, the School of American Professional Psychology in Washington, D.C. I grew up like a regular child. Grew up with my mother and my father. My father and mother divorced when I was, I think they divorced at about the age of 9. They separated. So that's pretty much a foundation for my beginning. There's a lot more to it. We'll just go more in detail, but that's a basic foundation of where I'm from, where I went to school, things of that nature.
Was it quite difficult? I mean, being age of 9 and your parents separating, was it quite difficult for you at the time, or was it how? I mean, it's not easy.
Yes, I would say yes, because I was so used to growing up, I lived in a neighborhood. My father was working a job. He was doing quite well. We lived in a large house, 4 bedrooms, 2 baths, full basement. I had a playroom and a bedroom.
Cool.
So when my parents separated, when I was 9, I went from a neighborhood to living in the hood.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, I went from a big house to a 3-bedroom apartment with roaches.
Right. Oh, my goodness.
And then you're dealing with the divorce, and so it was a whole lot. It wasn't comfortable, I would say.
So what was it like living in the hood compared to where you were? Challenges, etc.
I guess the challenging part were, to be honest with you, we're living with roaches.
Okay.
That was the most challenging aspect. Roaches in your refrigerator, roaches in your bedroom, roaches in your bathroom. You cut the lights on, you have roaches.
Right.
I recall, and I talk about it in my book. I remember one day opening up a Pepsi.
Right.
And drinking the Pepsi, putting it in the refrigerator after I finished drinking.
Right.
And I woke up the next morning. I went straight to the refrigerator to drink the Pepsi. And when I started drinking, I felt something in my mouth.
Right.
And it was a roach.
Ew.
And I spit the roach out, and I remember stepping on it. So I think that was probably the hardest part, was dealing with the critters, the roaches. And then my mom became sick at the same time, during that same time period when she decided to leave my father.
Right.
She was diagnosed with carposa sarcoma, skin cancer.
Oh my goodness. Did she recover, or was she did that?
No. My mother passed when I was 13.
Wow. Oh my goodness, that might have been easy. So what happened with yourself after that?
Yeah, that's it. So when you read my book, the Constipated Man version of the book represents my life story from birth up to now.
Right.
The diary represents case studies of individuals I've helped through molestation, incest, rape, fatherlessness. Talks about hope, love, forgiveness. So you're actually reading real life case studies, and then you're actually reading my whole life story.
Right.
Of everything I went through, from my mom and dad fighting before the divorce, to the abuse she had to suffer, to the abuse I had to suffer, taking care of her from the age of 9 to 13, going to school during the day, taking care of her at night, watching her disintegrate. So this is what you read in the book. And then you read how that impacted me, helping individuals deal with their constipation, what I call their emotional constipation.
So what abuse did you go through? Who were you abused by?
I would say my father was physically abusive. I mean, they call it beatings, but his beatings were beyond beatings. They were abuse.
Okay.
So it wasn't like I was constantly abused, but I'm just saying his beatings to me was abuse, because he took it to another level.
Right.
Because he abused my mom. So, some of that anger and aggression was taken out on me also. Right. But I wasn't abused like you would think, where I was marks on my face and things of that degree, things of that nature. But the beatings were, to me, was a degree of abuse.
So what would you do or not do that would cause to get a beating?
Well, anything that my father didn't agree with caused the beatings. Right. So, sometimes I can recall several times I was scared to say anything. I was scared to say anything because I knew what the outcome would be. Right. So it was best just to be silent and be quiet and stay in your room and don't say anything to save from the beatings.
Okay. So tell us regarding after your mother passing, where did you stay with your dad, or where did you go?
No, I live. After my mother passed, my grandmother raised me. Okay. My mother's mother pretty much raised me. I was still constipated, what I call it, from my mother dying, the abuse of my father, and then my father not being present during the time period my mom was sick. You know, the whole time she was in the hospital, he never came to see her one time.
Right.
He never came to check on her. And then pretty much, so my grandmother, you know, I decided I'm gonna live with my grandmother, and he did the same thing to me growing up. So when I was staying with my grandmother, I might have seen him twice, two or three times.
Right.
So it was traumatizing. It took me about 3 years after my mom died to say, well, to the point where I just said, F my father.
Okay.
Forget my father. I can't say what I want to say, but that's how I felt.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
You know, it was just, you know, it was a constant lying. I'm going to pick you up. Never picked me up. I would talk to him on Thursday evening. He said he going to pick me up on Friday. And I'm sitting in front of on the porch waiting for him to pick me up. He never picked me up.
Right.
So it was 2 years of that to the point where I just said, you know what?
No more.
F you.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I talk a little more in depth about it in chapter 4 of my book, Man Down, Father Gone.
Okay.
So, but my father and I did make up, and I talk about it in the book. He died 5 years ago, and we did have a better relationship.
Okay.
And he did apologize, but he didn't say I was sorry.
Right. Just. Okay.
But he said it the way that made him feel at ease. So I was willing to accept that.
Okay, that's good. So you're living with your granny, and you've gone through school. You've grown up. You've now become a doctor. Next stage from there.
Yeah, I went to after I completed completed graduate school. I worked for a couple of years, and I've been working as a school counselor for the last 17 to 18 years. In about 2010, I decided to start speaking all around the country. I really started in 2004, but then in 2006 I went back to school. So from like 5 years, I kind of didn't have the time to really focus in on my speaking business. Right. So I took a break for 5 years because I was in school and working. Then after I finished school, I took about a year break because I was just so tired.
Yeah.
And I decided to write my first book. And then 2 years later, I said, you know what? It's time to write my second book. And I wanted to write my book from my personal experience growing up, but also from my professional experience.
Okay.
And that's how I came up with the title of the book, the concept of the toilet, in innovative ways of helping people to deal with emotions. Okay. And how emotions impact and how emotions affect us.
Well, let's, before we go too far ahead of ourselves, because we're going to talk about that more. When did you move? Were you still living with your gran for up until a period? When did you leave? Did you get your own place, or?
Yeah, I stayed with my grandmother for approximately, I would say about 12 years. And she told me to save my money up. So eventually I saved my money up and I left Virginia and I moved to Washington, D.C.
Okay.
And I've been in Washington, D.C. since the year 2000. So this will be my 19th year in Washington, D.C.
And when you got to Washington, you obviously got your own place. You're starting afresh.
I started with, when I first moved to Washington, I lived with my uncle.
Okay.
For about a year. I stayed in his basement. After living in his basement for a year, I said I wanted to have my own. So I moved to an apartment, and then I decided to buy me a house. And that's when I moved to Prince George's County, Maryland, and I purchased my home. And I've been in my house since 2000.
Sweet.
So it's been an interesting journey.
That's good. So before we go to the next stage, I'm going to play a tune. We'll come back and we'll talk a bit more about your... Obviously, you've been doing counselling and you started your first book, but this is obviously they want to the impact of your book, which is obviously unconstipating you. And so when I hear about that, what the process of you when you started to unravel the stuff that was going on in your life and bring it up to the surface, and obviously so you can feel free So we'll talk about that. But we'll come back with a tune from Sean Muir, artist I was recently connected with. He's in the UK. So, and this is Why We Are Here. So, crumbs, helps if I can click my mouse. Sorted out. Fingers and thumbs. But yeah, so this is the song Why We're Here by Sean Muir. And we'll be back after this. Welcome back. That was Sean Muir, Why We're Here. Anyway, yeah, I'm back to my guest, the man himself, Dr. William Flipclay. So, Doc, before we kick off for the next stage, tell us about the flip, so people can know why the flip.
Well, in high school, I was a manager of the football, basketball, and baseball team, and we would travel throughout the state of Virginia and outside of the state. And on the bus, I was the comedian. I was a comedian, and one of the football players said, "Man, you act like Flip Wilson." And I didn't know about no Flip Wilson. And man, we're gonna call you Flip. So from that day on, yeah, I've been known as Flip. Every time I speak, people say I'm quite engaging, funny, and so it just stuck with me. So that's how I got the name Flip.
There we go. So Dr. William Flip Clay. That seems to start. It's quite a nice ring to it. Flip. So yeah, there's the Flip.
I call myself Chocolate Dr. Phil. Flip.
Is the chocolate version of Dr. Phil. There we go.
Yeah. Dr. Flip.
Let's not go there. I could get right. Let's carry on because okay, that could go into dangerous waters. That one, right? So I've lost train of thought, but yeah, we're going to go into your book. When you started to unravel yourself, obviously becoming unconstipated to write your book. Talk about that.
Wow. So I think what really triggered, I was just, as a mental health professional, working with the male population, I was just so tired of them, seeing them so angry, and not understanding why they were angry, and not understanding how to release the anger. And then I just thought about my life growing up and all the things that I went through and how it made me feel, and I really didn't talk about it. And then one thing that happened, 2 young men were killed. This was 3 years ago, and I had to end up counseling in 1 week both of the young men who were with the 2 boys that were killed.
Right.
And that's when all this stuff okay. And talking to both of those young men, they were angry at things that happened to them.
Right.
And one thing I've noticed, especially when you're working with the male population, we tend to assimilate with people who feel like we feel, because we can relate to each other.
Yeah.
So looking at my life growing up, everything I went through, looking at all the young men I'd worked with from 2000 up until now, grown men included, they had one thing in common. A lot of them were angry, and they were holding unfiltered emotions. And this also go for the girls too. But girls, when I say girls, I'm talking about women included. They're more emotional, so they express their emotions. It can be kind of overwhelming, but when we're looking at it from a male standpoint, we don't know how to express our emotions. So we hurt people that we love because we're angry. So I decided, I said, you know what, after working with those 2 young boys, I said, you know what, it's time for me to share with the world how we can help individuals understand the importance of releasing that constipation, or that one thing that's causing you to be stuck.
Okay.
So that's when I decided I needed to write this book. And I wanted the book to be very transparent, transformative, because I want to bring about transformation. And you have to be honest with your own constipation, and then tell the stories of individuals who are constipated, who you were able to help, and their outcome once they decided to release. Because people want you to be real. People don't want to hear nothing fake, nothing phony. They want to read real life stories. They want to know the real Flip, not the doctor. They want to know my real life. They want to know you, who you are.
Exactly.
So I figure, okay, let me become emotionally naked or emotionally vulnerable, transparent, tell my story, and then tell the stories of individuals I've worked with that everybody can relate to, because everybody can see themselves in one of those stories.
So after you've written this book, you're writing the book to offload. How did you feel? Did you feel relieved yourself? Were you still feeling quite sort of?
No, in the process of writing the book, I wrote 8 chapters in 30 days.
Wow, that's good going.
Yeah, and then I took a break for 4 months because it was overwhelming with my job, my speaking engagements, and just dealing with life in general. And then the process of regurgitating all that constipation.
Right.
Putting it on paper. It was I'm not gonna say traumatizing, but it was interesting because at that present time I was in counseling.
Right.
So yeah, I'm still going to say counseling, nothing major, but I was still I'm writing this book. I'm bringing up this unfiltered anger. I'm working my job and I'm doing speaking engagements. So so I took about 4 months off, and then I realized, I said, you know what? Let me go ahead and finish the book, because nothing had changed as far as I said, how can I expect change if I don't take the step to bring about change and to let people know it's okay to release. Let me share these strategies which I've been using to help other individuals release, and they've been successful. Okay. So that's when I decided, let me finish this book up. So I finished 4 chapters in like 60 days.
Cool. And then you published the book. When was the launch?
I think the launch was, I did a soft launch in July, and then I came back in September and did my official launch.
What year was this? Last year?
The soft launch was like, I had 10 or 15 people. I purchased some food. I rented out a facility. I did a presentation, and they gave me some feedback. Then I took that feedback to say, okay, what I want to change, what I want to modify. And then I did the official launch in September.
Was that last year, or when was this?
This year.
This year. 2018, yeah.
Right. I did the official launch, and it's been quite interesting since the launch. That's all I can say. It's been quite interesting, and it's like every day is a new day. I receive phone calls, I receive email messages. So it's a lot that's about to happen with the book. I don't want to go too much in detail, but just make sure you stay abreast, because it's a lot of stuff about to be released.
It can't have been easy when you're doing your job, which you're obviously managing basketball, football, okay, and you're also counselling people as well, but also knowing that you're going through your own stuff in your own head. And I mean, is there many times you've been sitting there counselling people that you're realising, crumbs, you don't know the half of it, that what I'm going through as well, that you must be relating to these people quite a lot. But just sitting there.
That makes it easier from the counselor client or the counselor student perspective.
Yeah. Because
they understand I've walked in their shoes. So it's nothing, most of the time when I'm working with a client or a student, there's nothing they can say to me that I haven't been through.
Yeah.
So it's easy. It makes it easy because I've experienced it. My mom died when I was 13. I had to take care of her from the age of 9 to 13. I watched my mom die. I had to, I was there on her last day. I was, so I've dealt with that. I dealt with my father not being there.
Yeah.
I understand how that feels. I understand how you feel. I understand when you being abused at home. So I mean, even when I'm working with individuals outside of the school setting, a lot of them haven't dealt with their childhood experience, their childhood trauma. So I'm able to assist them through going back and we're talking about my trauma. And then I, of course, I came up with my prop, which makes it a whole lot easier to explain the importance of releasing the trauma.
When have you got any, when you're obviously counselling, have you seen with your counselling, when you're counselling the guys or have you seen them come through to success and feeling their lives changed around? They feel new start, they've offloaded, and have you seen them kind of grow into somebody, they've gone and got jobs and they've left school and all that, and have you got any success stories you can talk about?
Oh yes. If you go on to the in 2012 I was awarded the Marcus Foster Distinguished Educator of the Year award. I was awarded the largest African American education association in the United States. They awarded me with this award.
Right.
And they based it off of the work that I had been doing with young boys of color.
Right.
the Washington Post picked up on the award, and they interviewed one of my former students. Matter of fact, if you go on my website, boysoffthehook.com, you can hear this student being interviewed on the Steve Harvey Morning Show when he was in the 4th grade.
Okay.
The Washington Post picked up his story in the 12th grade when I won this award, and they was interviewing him, and he was saying if it wasn't for the work that being under my tutelage or me helping him, that he wouldn't be in the position where he is today. He's a college graduate. He has his own business, and he was one of those boys that that everybody wanted to give up on. But because I understood how he felt, what he felt, and what he was going through, I was able to change his life. And if you go on my website, the article's on my website.
Okay.
Steve Harvey Morning interview, when they interviewed him when he was in the 4th grade, fifth grade, and then you'll see the Washington Post when they did an interview with him, which is also on my website.
Okay.
There's plenty more success stories. I'm just giving you one where there's documentation beat conversation. I mean, I get emails from my former students. I just got one, matter of fact, last week, which is on my Instagram page, which is on my Facebook page. One of my former students reached out to me and said he's still talking. I guess he's about 29 or 30. He said still to this day, I still talk about the impact you had on me, and I'm sharing with my daughter how much of an impression you had on my life. And I mean, I don't know. He sent me a message on Instagram and wrote this long paragraph. So I would say, I would say the strategies and the way the strategies I'm using is helping. It's helping. And really, and color it doesn't correlate with color. I have success stories from Caucasian boys I work with, Latino boys I work with, Latino girls, white girls. It's across the it really doesn't differ between male and female. It's just that because I'm a male and I understand the importance of helping us as men or as males release that frustration, and how much better we feel when we release it.
Okay. Well, next stage, we're going to talk about we're going to play our song. We're going to just a wee shout out to some of the supporters of the show, and we're going to talk about when you started doing all your speaks, because I know I did notice last year you did speak to inmates of a prison, didn't you? Was that something, or a detention centre? I'm not sure if you did that.
Last year, let me see.
Well, 20. Well, it's because it's confusing. We say last year, we think it's still 2018.
I did a couple major speaking engagements. I spoke to. Well, I mean, it all depends which one you're referring to. So that's why I'm.
Well, I think they were all dressed in orange.
Okay, that event was that event took place at Dillard University. That was with I belong to a fraternity called Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated. With we're an American Greek Black organization, but we're the only American college Black Greek organization to have a chapter outside of the United States.
Okay.
So we're not only in the United States, but we're international. We have what we call our Sigma Beta Club, and the Sigma Beta Club is like a mentorship program through our fraternity.
Right. Okay.
And they had their national Sigma Beta Club conference in New Orleans. So they asked me to come out and speak to the 200-some young men, and I did like a 2-hour session with the young men, standing room only. They didn't get up and leave not one time for the whole 2 hours.
Wow, that's good. So
yeah, it was powerful. It was powerful. Done other engagements. I think that was yeah. So that was that's the one you're talking about. They had the outfit on. Yes.
Yeah, that'd be. Well, we'll come back. We're going to our next part. We'll talk about obviously your speaking engagements. Talk about more about your book. We'll talk about your gimmick and what you use, which gives the whole meaning to your book, and pretty much we'll talk a bit more in depth about that. Okay, so we're back after one of our trusty artists played a lot near the end of last year on Hearts on Live, Ramsay Unleashed, Going Beyond Borders, was Benita Charles, and her music. I found her, I connected with her on Facebook and more through Instagram as well. Heard her sing, reached out, kind of in this nutty Scotsman, kind of pushing them, saying, I want to hear your music, and eventually got in contact with her, and sent me our music and been playing it ever since. So we're going to be back. I'll get my mouse working. There we go. Sorry, Dave. It helps if I use the desk and not paper underneath it. But yeah, anyway, so Breezy Charles, Never Let Me Go, featuring Impact. And so we'll be back with Dr. William Flipclay, the man who's flipping awesome. That was flipping. You see what I did there? Okay, maybe not. Try not to laugh, okay? Well, bad jokes. I'll Anyway, we'll be back after this, and a few shout outs to some of our supporters for the show as well, and we'll, for the next part. Speak to you soon.
Hello.
It's me. Just listen. Hold me. Love me. Never let me go.
I won't, baby.
Kiss me. Touch me. Feelings overflow. Oh, the precious love you give to me. Oh, I never want your love to leave. Your love thrills me. It's pure ecstasy. Hold me, love me, never let me go. Touch me, feelings overflow. Hold me, love me, never let me go. Kiss me, touch me, feelings overflow. I'm so into you. You're a special part of me. Always love me. We make love so tenderly. Oh, the precious love you give to me. Oh, I never want your love to leave. Hold me, love me. You're my everything. Never let me go. No. Feelings overflow. Don't let go. Love me, never let me go. Kiss me, touch me, feelings overflow. Don't let go.
I won't.
Baby, please, don't let go. I need your love.
I need you to.
I need you, baby. You're all I need. Hold me, love me, never let me go. Touch me, feelings overflow. Hold me close. Love me, never let me go. Kiss me, touch me, feelings overflow. Me hold, love me, never let me go. Don't let go. Kiss me, touch me, feelings overflow. I need your love, yeah, and never let me go.
Girl, I ain't going nowhere. Yeah.
Heart Song Live Radio, where music speaks. You're listening to Edinburgh, Scotland's must-listen-to podcast on heartsonglive.co.uk, your inspirational station.
Welcome back to Ramsay and Leash Going Beyond Borders with my guest Dr. William Flipclay. So to shout out to some of our supporters and sponsors and things, kingdombeads.com by Aoife Leatham, who sponsors our show. If you want to purchase any of her beads, if you go to kingdombeads.com, you'll get 10%, which will help towards the show of any purchase, which is a great just to support what we do. And so if you like your semi-precious gems, he does male, females and kids bracelets and necklaces that you can go and check out our website. So people who've always supported me through time of live streaming and all that is Eileen Smith from eileensmith.com, Guy R. Cook from the Guy R. Cook Report. He does a regular podcast, Ideas Go Live. John Drummond, local web designer in Edinburgh, Scotland. And myself, if you want to get some cleaning done, edinburghdusters.com or .co.uk. Go to either and you'll get me, and you do carpet cleaning as well if you want some services. But yeah, so I want to say thanks to all the people who do support us going forward. Shannon Griffin for Humanities, who does t-shirts and stuff like that. So she's in California. Eileen's in Philadelphia. The guy's in Walla Walla, out by your Seattle area. So and John's in Edinburgh. So lots of people. And as I say, if you're looking for to sponsor the show or want to come on board or help you out, love to be able to support each other, give us a shout. We'll sort you out. But yeah, so back to my guest, the man, the doctor in the house, as Bon Jovi would say. But yeah, so let's talk about your book. You've got your gimmick. That's where we are. So let's talk about that going forward.
I like that song too. That song just had me thinking. Anyway,
it's a good song. She's really good. She's in New York.
Yeah.
Benita Charles, all the way from New York. She's part of the network.
Yeah, that was song had me thinking. Anyway, that's the song that took me off. I'm like, yo, I'm feeling this, and I'm listening to the words, and I'm like, whoa, this is deep.
Yeah, she's good. She is good.
Yeah, she is good. I had to sit back and. Anyway, that's another. She got me thinking. No, so the gimmick, the toilet. I decided to use the toilet after realizing that so I came up with a diagnosis.
Mm-hmm.
When you go see a doctor or a psychiatrist, they use a book called the DSM-4, Diagnostic Statistical Manual, and they look through this book and the book might say, because you're acting a certain way, you might have this disorder. Right. So let's say you're bipolar. So you have these characteristics. So what I was finding, I said, there's nothing that really, I can't find anything to help my boys out.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're saying this, but this is not what's going on. They saying this, but this is not what's really wrong. And they saying they have this, but this is not the issue. The issue, they're angry, they've been through something, and they don't talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
So I came up with my own non-diagnostic disorder, which means that if you go into a medical book, you will not see it.
Mm-hmm.
So if you go to the doctor and you tell him you're suffering from emotional, psychological incarceration, he won't know what the hell you're talking about because it's not a medical book. So I call it emotional, psychological incarceration, and there's 3 stages.
Okay.
The first stage is emotional constipation,
mm-hmm.
which occurs from birth to the age of 14. If you don't address the emotional constipation, your emotions become incarcerated from the age 14 into adulthood.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't address the emotional incarceration, you usually go out here and do something stupid and become physically incarcerated.
Mm-hmm.
So when we start looking at African American males and the large percentage of them in prison in the United States, there's a correlation between the constipation, the incarceration, and childhood trauma.
Mm-hmm.
Because as males in general, we are not taught to express our emotions. So as a child, if I'm experiencing trauma and I don't talk about it, my emotions become constipated. If I don't address the constipation, my emotions become incarcerated. Then I go out here and do something stupid and become physically incarcerated. Or a man can still remain emotionally incarcerated and be successful.
Mm-hmm.
He just can't become the man that he wants to become because he's never released the one thing he know is causing him to be incarcerated.
Okay.
It's that dirty little secret that happened to me as a child or happened to me in my adulthood that I don't talk about that causes me emotional pain.
Okay.
And I came up with the toilet because that was the only way that was one of the best ways I could that was one of the best techniques I could get young boys, especially young boys of color, to understand the importance of releasing that you know what, out. You got to get it out.
Mm-hmm.
So when you sit on the toilet to drop that load, you know it feel good when it come out. Correct? I mean,
it does. Yes.
Yes. I mean, and sometimes you got to strain a little bit. I mean, you got to sweat. If it's a good one, it's a good sweat might come out. You know, but you feel good when you let it out.
Very
I
true.
mean, it's the best feeling in the world.
It certainly offloads a few pounds.
Yeah, you're gonna lose a few pounds, and it's healthier. You feel good as a person when you drop a good load.
That's without laxatives.
I'm just being transparent because I'm just keeping it real.
I know.
So, when you sit on that toilet and a good one come out, you feel better.
Exactly. Yeah.
So at the end of the day, this is how I present it to the young people.
Mm-hmm.
So what's that one childhood trauma that you know causes you to feel uncomfortable, that you never talked about, but you know if you release it, you're gonna feel better.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I have a video on YouTube I actually shot where I went into a bathroom on a college campus and I go through the whole process. It's very funny. It got about 1,500 views, 16. Mm-hmm. I can't remember how many views, but I go through the whole process. And it's funny at first, but then it's when you get to the part about flushing divorce down the toilet, mm-hmm. flushing molestation, incest, rape, mad at my father, mad at my mother. We need to flush those things on the toilet and release it and get it out. Mm-hmm. And then I spray the air freshener, and then I say, how do you feel? And then you've gotten it out. Mm-hmm. I did a presentation at a high school, and a little girl came up to me afterward watching the video, and she said, thank you. Okay. And I said, why? She said, now I understand what I need to do. Mm-hmm. Because a lot of, you can't argue with the concept behind what I just explained.
Exactly, yeah.
It's not even you can't even argue with it, regardless of your age. Every child know when you got to go to the bathroom, mm-hmm. you go sit on the toilet to get it out. Okay, that's just normal. That's something you know you have to do in America. In other countries, they might not have a toilet. I don't know what they have, but anyway. So, and you know when it releases it, you're going to feel better. Mm-hmm. So correlate that with emotional waste.
Yeah.
Because emotional waste causes dis-ease, and dis-ease causes disease. So the only way you get dis-ease out your body and disease out your body is to release it. So we have to. You can't continue to be you can't become the person you want to become, and you can't become the man or woman God wants you to become if you're emotionally constipated or you're emotionally incarcerated.
Okay.
Because you haven't released, and you know when you release, you're gonna feel better. Mm-hmm. So that's the challenge that I have now when I do my presentations and I'm traveling the country and I'm standing in front of 200 or 300 people and I'm breaking this concept down. Mm-hmm. I mean, the people come up to me afterwards and they blown. It's mind blowing, but it's practical and it's simple and it makes sense. You can't even argue with the concept. I mean, release.
What's folks' reactions when you when you're just about to you're setting up? People arrive in the room, whatever you're speaking at, and they see a toilet. And what's your general?
Oh my gosh! You just the first what the I can't tell you what they say. But, why does he have this toilet here? What's the purpose? Why? And all the attention is off of me, and it's on the toilet. They want to know, why does this man have a toilet in this room? I've done 3 churches. I did the presentation at 3 different churches. Let me see, 3 different churches, and it's mind boggling. Mm-hmm. But once I finish the presentation, they get it.
Yeah,
yeah. It's you should see the people. I mean, it's you should see the response, and I love it. Oh, I just love it. because I usually have it covered up.
Are you,
So they don't.
just before I'm going to say, are you a faith-based person?
I was a faith-based person, and I
Okay.
talk about that in chapter 4 of my book, The Day I Divorced Religion.
Right, okay.
Yeah, I stepped away from the church
Okay.
per se, and it was because of things that happened growing up. When I was writing the book, I thought about the story when one of the deacons from my church tried to kidnap me and throw me in a van when I was 10. And I never told my grandmother because my grandmother loved the church.
Right, okay.
And she would never believe that the deacon would do nothing like that. I talk about another story where I was scammed out of $10,000 by somebody who was in the church. I talk about, as a mental health professional, the condition of black people, and all this played a role in me stepping away from the church.
Okay.
I did not step away from my relationship with God.
Okay.
I just stepped away from the church. And so I grew up a Christian. Everybody in my family were Christians. But Christianity taught me to hate other people.
Right.
And as a mental health professional, number one, I can't operate in my gift if I'm hating somebody because of their belief, because of religion.
Right.
You know, religion taught me things that I know was not true. So, you know, I'm looking at everything I went through growing up, some of the stuff that happened to me currently, and I realized I needed to step away from religion. Not step away from God, but step away from religion and get back to knowing God for myself. Before I had religion, I was a spiritual person. And when you're spiritual, you have a direct relationship with God. Religion taught me to put parameters around my relationship with people and with God.
Exactly.
So I had to divorce it in order for me to become who God wanted me to become. And for me, even when I was writing this book, I had to write the book, and I had to name that title "The Day I Divorced Religion," because it was keeping me in a box. I mean, I've worked with clients who were Muslims,
Okay.
but I didn't care they were a Muslim. You know, I'm looking at it from the human experience.
Yeah.
I have answers to help you. I can't look at you because you don't believe what I believe. And that's what religion taught me. Religion taught me to not like somebody because of what they believe. And I wasn't raised that way. So I had to step away. And that's when I divorced it. And I went back to being a spiritual person, being a spiritual being, having a spiritual experience. And it's been fulfilling. I still go to church. I have no problem going to church. I have no problem believing in God. So you can't do this work and not have a relationship with the Creator. There's no possible way you can sit there and work with young girls and grown women and help them through molestation, incest, and rape, and not have a relationship with God. And I'm talking 5 to 10 times a month, where I got to go through this process of helping young girls who've been molested and raped, and then dealing with the parents of the individuals, and then dealing with the extended family members, and taking all of this in and not have a relationship with a higher being. There's no way you can do it. You can't do it, because when you're constantly hearing these stories, you need another entity to keep you focused and guided on your purpose.
You were saying you still see a counsellor yourself, even though as you work to keep yourself?
Yeah. I was just dealing with some an issue with another individual, and I just felt like I needed to go. And the counseling helped me to deal with counselors need to see counselors too. You know, we're not perfect. I mean, how can I help other people if I'm not willing to say I need to go see a counselor for something I'm dealing with? Then I'm a hypocrite.
Yeah.
So I can't tell you to, seek some additional help to help you deal with your issues if I'm not willing to do the same thing. See, I have no problem saying that because I'm transparent.
Yeah.
I'm very transparent because if I'm transparent, that means individuals I work with will be transparent.
Yeah.
and it makes life a whole lot easier. And I'm human,
Exactly.
right? I'm human.
I feel that we could have a part 2 interview going forward because I think there's so much more that you could talk about. And
Yeah. Most definitely. I can. We didn't even get into the. Yeah, we didn't get into half of.
well, exactly. I think there's a lot more we could. I think I'd like to book you again, going just to have a part 2 because I think we could have a part 2. Because if I don't want because last person I had a long interview with was one of my guests, Aoife Lethem, who sponsors the show. And we talked about an hour and 40 minutes, and we kind of went well and truly over time. And kind of whoever was on the next show that didn't quite happen. So I kind of I want to have a part 2 here because I think there's a lot more we can talk about. I think it'd be really grab people's attentions, and we can go into a lot more detail. Because I think this is really interesting in how who you're dealing with, the people. And
we could talk. We could focus more on the case studies.
Yeah.
I could share with you some of the details of the case studies, some of the details of how those case studies impacted me, and how they affected me even till today. The success of the case studies, why it's important that we have these conversations.
Okay.
I think it's important that it's okay for us. Yeah, I think we can do part 2. Sure.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot more we could talk about because I think it's really interesting how just time is obviously getting against us. But before what do you tell people where they can connect with you and where they can find you for those who've been maybe listening to this or listening to the podcast, where they can obviously they want to connect with you, maybe actually have a chat with you and talk about stuff that they need to offload or, as I say, become unconstipated.
If you go to boysoffthehook.com, that has all the link to my social media site. You still there?
Yeah, I'm here. All here.
Yeah, boysoffthehook.com. You can find me on Facebook at William Flip Clay. Dr. William Flip Clay. You can find me on Instagram, Dr_Flip07. I'm on Twitter, Dr. Flip. I'm on LinkedIn, Dr. William Flip Clay. I'm on Instagram. So if you just go to boysoffthehook.com, that has all my links. You can go to constipatedman.com, which talks a little bit more in depth about the book. Some of them celebrity, some of my celebrity friends that I've done presentations with. That's on constipatedman.com. Boysoffthehook.com. Reach out to me. The book is on Amazon.com. The book is on my website, boysoffthehook.com. And I'm looking forward to doing part 2, where we can get into some details and some, talk about strategies, techniques, and talk about success of helping people through this constipation and what it looks like once you become constipated.
Yeah, because it's really.
I think that's what
Yeah, I think the case studies would be really interesting to hear, and I think a lot of people who listen to the case studies hopefully will be able to relate to them.
Oh, yeah, the case studies are off the chain, I must say. And what makes it so interesting, I changed the names of the individuals, of course, for privacy reasons, but these are real life stories, and how they impacted me is a whole nother conversation. And one particular case study in particular really brought me to tears, I would say. And it really touched my heart. And even to this day, I promised this one particular person that I would share her story every time I was given the platform. And I've watched it, how it's changed people's lives hearing her story. So, yes, we can do the part 2.
Let's.
And they definitely want to hear that story. Right. I won't go too detailed because they won't want to get the book. But I get them enough where they like, whoa.
I'm going to get the book. Would you ever consider taking yourself outside of the USA?
Oh, of course. I've been blessed to speak internationally twice. So, of course, I want to expand my borders. Of course. The presentation is so captivating, compelling. It's because I'm very I've definitely thought about it. I'm looking forward to that. Do that.
The tour, the UK tour, the Flip Clay UK tour, severely constipated.
You talking about the constipated, the constipated man UK tour?
Exactly.
That would be quite interesting. That would be interesting.
Yes.
How the UK will respond to a toilet?
Yeah. Exactly.
In a presentation, how would they? I'm sure I could find me a toilet in the UK to purchase.
Plenty toilets, plenty. So,
but no, it's I have some things pending right now. 2019 is going to be quite interesting.
Okay.
The next 60 days is going to be quite interesting. I have a lot of things that I'm about to that's about to be released.
no pun intended then.
Right, no fun. But it's no. I'm looking forward to the next 30 to 60, 90 days.
Okay, that'll be good.
Yeah.
Well, would you consider coming to Scotland?
Of course, listen. I love what I do.
Mm-hmm.
All jokes aside, no. I mean, I would love to travel abroad and spread this message. But so my focus, wherever God send me, that's where I'm going.
Okay.
I think it's a message that needs to be shared, and see one thing I like about this message, it doesn't correlate with color or race.
True.
It's a human issue.
Yeah.
That needs to be addressed. We have to release this frustration, this anger, this constipation. We have to know it's okay to release it. And it doesn't make a difference what color you are, how tall you are, how short you are.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to sit on the toilet every day, and you're going to get some emotion. You're going to get the physical waste out of you.
Yeah.
So it's time not only to get the physical waste, but let's get the emotional waste out.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it boils down to. I can go to India,
mm-hmm.
and they're going to get it. It might take a little more work, but they'll get it because you just.
It's not just a curry.
It's just an innovative way of letting people know it's okay to let this go.
Yeah, which is good.
A fun, practical way which makes sense. It's okay for me to release this. That's all. And so, process of putting parameters and putting things in place because when I do a lot of sessions with men, they want to do a follow up. So I'm in the process setting up a
Too many euphemisms in there. Too many.
No. You know what I mean.
I know what you mean. Sorry, I'm gonna just crap to love your shit.
I'm in the process of putting a program in place so I can work with individuals who want to continue to release.
Now we're gonna stop it there now because we are over time slightly, and we're gonna come back with a part 2 later.
Okay.
In the beginning soon. I don't want to leave it too late, but part 2 will be good. And I want to say thank you to Dr. William Flipclay for being on the show. We've got a quick word from our sponsors, and we will call it a night. And I want to say thank you. I want to wish everyone a happy new year going forward. May 2019 be a great year for you, whatever you're doing, whatever you have planned. Don't procrastinate. Don't build stuff up. Don't release your goals, so to speak. Don't let them build up and be constipated. Release your talents. Don't say you're going to do something and not do it, and keep saying, "Oh yeah, I'm going to do it," but no, you don't. If not, before you know it, you'll be sitting here, December 2019, and you'll be realizing, I didn't do it. So, if you need a release, if you want to offload or want to reach out to somebody, maybe you want to start that year on the right foot, reach out to William, and he will be able to hopefully direct you in the right way and help you feel, set 2019 off in the right way, and not in feeling emotionally clogged up like you have been from 2018. but there will be a 2019, and we look forward to the part 2 of this. Looking forward to hearing the case studies of powerful stories and how what he's heard and etc. etc. So, we'll say goodbye to everybody, and we will catch up with you next week. And thanks to Dr. William Flipkley, and we'll be back, and we'll see you next week. Speak to you soon. Bye-bye.
Hi, this is Ify Aletha from KingdomBeats.com. Proud to be a sponsor of Ramsay Unleashed, going beyond borders on heartsonglive.co.uk.